Welcome back to Monsters, Legends, and Conspiracies, the show where we dive deep into some of the world's most spine-tingling stories, uncover the myths, and sometimes find the truth lurking beneath the surface. I'm Sarah, and today we're taking a trip to Texas, a spot where legend meets tragedy and ghostly tales fill the air. This story brings us to what locals call the Screaming Bridge in Arlington, Texas. So grab a flashlight, maybe even a friend, and let's get into the story of Arlington's infamous Screaming Bridge. There's something about bridges that captures our imaginations. Maybe it's the symbolism, crossing over from one place to another. Or maybe it's that they're often isolated, surrounded by darkness and water. They can feel like gates to the unknown, thresholds that connect the land of the living to something different. The Screaming Bridge in Arlington has been a haunting local legend for decades, and its story is just as chilling today as it was back in the 1960s. But, as with most legends, it's hard to say where fact ends and folklore begins. To understand the story of the Screaming Bridge, we have to go back to February 4th, 1961, a night that would change this quiet Texan town forever. Our story begins with a group of high school students out on a joyride in Arlington on a cold February night. The students, most from Arlington High School, were looking for a bit of late-night fun and adventure. You know, the type of night where rules don't apply, where friends are packed into cars, cruising down dark roads, music blaring, laughter filling the air. But for these teenagers, the night would take a horrifying turn. Some accounts say they were simply driving along, maybe too fast, unaware of the danger up ahead. But others claim that the bridge they were about to cross was shrouded in fog, obscuring the driver's view of a terrifying reality. The bridge was out. When the car reached the bridge, it was already too late. In seconds, it plunged off the broken structure, crashing into the creek below. The accident was devastating. Several teens lost their lives, and others were badly injured. The whole town was shaken to its core. This once ordinary bridge, just part of an old country road, had become a place of tragedy. Now, the exact details of that night vary, as they often do when a story is passed down through generations. Some say the bridge had been intentionally damaged for repairs, but was inadequately marked. Others believe the kids were just reckless, victims of a dangerous, thrill-seeking joyride. But what happened next took the story from a tragedy to one of the most famous ghost stories in Texas. Locals started reporting strange occurrences on and around the bridge. And that's where the legend of the Screaming Bridge was born. After the accident, people began to claim they heard the sounds of screams echoing through the air near the bridge late at night. These weren't ordinary screams. They were described as blood-curdling, desperate, the kind of screams you can't ignore, even if you're miles away. And it wasn't just the screams. Visitors reported seeing strange lights near the bridge, phantom-like shapes moving in the darkness. Some said they saw apparitions of young people near the creek, standing still, almost as if they were waiting for something. Others even reported hearing the faint sound of music, as if a ghostly car radio was still playing from the bottom of the creek. One of the most unsettling reports comes from those who cross the bridge at night, claiming to feel a sudden chill and a heavy sense of dread. Some have said it feels as if invisible hands are pulling them toward the edge, as if something, or someone, doesn't want them to leave. The legend gained momentum over the years, drawing thrill seekers and paranormal investigators alike to see if they could capture any evidence. Local teens even started to dare each other to cross the bridge alone at night, some claiming to hear whispers in the wind or see shadowy figures in the distance. These tales, whether exaggerations or true experiences, have kept the legend alive, keeping it as eerie today as it was 60 years ago. Now, here's where the legend and history get a little tricky. You see, there's actually more than one bridge involved in the Screaming Bridge legend, and the exact location of the original bridge remains a bit of a mystery. Some researchers believe the original bridge from the accident was dismantled and removed shortly after the incident. This would explain why the exact location is hard to pin down, and why people often report eerie experiences at nearby bridges, as if the spirits of those teenagers haunt the whole area, rather than just a single spot. In fact, locals have reported strange occurrences on another bridge nearby, an old iron bridge on Greenbelt Road. Though it's not the site of the original accident, the eerie reputation of Arlington's haunted bridge has spread across this whole area, adding another layer to the mystery. So, is there any truth to the legend? There are official reports that confirm the fatal car crash did happen in February of 1961, and several students did tragically lose their lives. This isn't just a made-up story. But as for the paranormal side of things, well, that's something no one can say for sure. But maybe that's what makes the legend so enduring. It's rooted in a real tragedy, a story of young lives cut short too soon. And when you combine that with the naturally eerie feeling of an old bridge on a dark, quiet night, it creates the perfect setting for a haunting. For decades, locals and visitors alike have shared their experiences of the Screaming Bridge. Some claim that if you park your car near the bridge, turn off your engine, and listen closely, you can hear the faint sounds of screaming. Others claim they feel sudden cold spots or a strange pressure, almost like being watched. Paranormal investigators have come to the area with specialized equipment, trying to capture the evidence of spirits or supernatural energy. Some claim to have caught strange EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, recordings of faint voices in the background, often saying things like "help" or "don't go." One particularly eerie account comes from a local investigator who, during an investigation, claimed he saw a misty figure appear on the bridge's edge, only to vanish moments later. Others have captured strange photographs with ghostly shapes that they believe could be spirits still lingering in the area. While skeptics attribute these experiences to overactive imaginations or the power of suggestion, those who've been to the Screaming Bridge swear it's more than just a creepy story. So what's the truth behind Arlington's Screaming Bridge? Is it just an old bridge surrounded by tragic memories, amplified by imagination and local lore? Or is there something more lingering in the air? Something that defies logical explanation? Maybe it's a combination of both. The tragedy of that night in 1961 left a permanent mark on the community, and the bridge became a focal point for the grief and pain that followed. It's understandable that the haunting echoes of that night would stay with the town, that the screams of those lost would live on in memory, even if only in whispers on the wind. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, Arlington's Screaming Bridge is a place where reality and legend intersect. A place where history has turned into something dark, mysterious, and unforgettable. Thank you for joining me on this journey into one of Texas' most haunted legends. If you find yourself in Arlington and dare to visit the Screaming Bridge, remember to be respectful. After all, legends like this are born from real stories, and sometimes they're best left undisturbed. Stay tuned for more spine-chilling tales on monsters, legends, and conspiracies. Until next time, stay curious, and maybe keep a light on.